What's up, guys? It's me again, Christian Rodriguez, and today I wanted to talk about things that you need to look out for in, the people you deal with, whether that's a friend, it could be a business partner, it could be an employee that you hire if you're an entrepreneur, it can be even a family member, if I'm going to be completely honest, right? And that's observing people's character, right? Observing their flaws. Not flaws, more like their character flaws. That's really what I mean by that, right? Because this is something that, you know, you're going to deal with people. Like, let's be honest, like we all are going to deal with people somehow, right? So you definitely want to be aware of the types of people that you're dealing with, right? What How do they handle things, right? How do they handle certain situations, right? You really want to notice these things, right? You want to notice how they behave, because how they behave tells you who they really are, right? And I go by the belief that you shouldn't go by what people say. You have to watch what people do, right? Because people could smile, pretend like they're a good person. I've met many people like that, and when something, maybe if fucking you over is their best interest, they'll do it. Trust me, I've dealt with that, right? Personally in business, I remember doing free work for someone, and they just like outright just ghosted me, right? I just wanted a testimonial. Basically did the free work. I invested time, hours to freaking setting up their work, and all they needed to do was send testimonial. And what they did is they just ghosted me. And I thought he was a nice guy. He was smiling. He was very nice. And I realized that's very like messed up, right? When you think of stuff like that. And that's just a little example of it. I don't want you guys to feel bad for me, because it is what it is, right? I should have learned from it. I probably made some mistakes in realizing, detecting the character flaw, or setting boundaries in place, which could be another topic I'll talk about in the future. But yeah, you want to be able to like notice what people do, right? So if you have a friend, right, and you have a friend who maybe he's done like something to other friends, maybe not directly your friend, maybe he's done it to someone else, right? Like, for example, I had a friend who he was dating some guy that he was dating. I mean, some guy. He was dating some. He started going on dates with some girl who just broke up with one of his best friends. Not my friend, but his friend from another friend group, right? His friend had a girlfriend. They ended up breaking up, and he ended up taking that girl out on a date the week that they broke up. And I remember questioning that. I'm like, that's kind of messed up. Why would you go on a date with your friend's ex-girlfriend, especially right after they broke up? I just found that kind of I found that weird. If that happened to me, I would have felt very betrayed. I would have, yeah, I wouldn't have trusted that person. I would have, that would have been the end of the friendship if that was me, right? And you have to notice those things, because that's a very messed up thing to do to someone, right? That's just an example of it, right? That's a character flaw right there. That's something that you have to, don't think that that thing is ever going to go away, because it doesn't. It doesn't go away. Even if it lays dormant for years, there'll be a time that they can betray you, right? So don't be naive with it. I've been naive in the past. That's why I talk about it. That's why I make these videos on YouTube, because I want to bring awareness. I want people to be aware that stuff like this doesn't go away, that you need to really observe this, right? Before it gets bad, right? So I don't want you to burn your hand after I'm telling you that the fire is hot. I want you to know that the fire is hot, so you don't stick your hand onto the into the fire, right? So you burn your hand. Some people learn that way, including myself, but hopefully you learn from me in that one. But another thing that I noticed that people like, what tells you who people really are, this could be even women you date, right? This could go with about anyone that you know, is how do they deal with stress, because it's so easy to be a nice person. It's easy to be, you know, nice, forgiving, fine. Um, hey, I like that person or whatever, right? Being a nice person, great whatsoever, be smart, have skills. But how about when there's stress involved or a minor inconvenience, right? Say that you're traveling, right? You're traveling, maybe you're a little jet lagged. You guys get lost, right? It happens. You guys get lost, you're in a foreign country. How do they react? Do they start panicking? Do they start, are they in a bad mood? Are they almost like dragging everyone down? Are they dragging you down? Are they killing your mood? Are they bringing like a cloud into the sun, into a sunny day? You have to notice those things, right? How are they like if there's some sort of inconvenience that's going on, right? Like maybe something didn't happen like the way they wanted it to, right? So are they upset about it? You have to notice those things because those things are basically a preview to who they really are, right? Because I've known people like this too. And the thing that's dangerous about it is if you keep these people around, right? This is people who can't handle stress, people who can't, because we're all going to deal with a form of stress. We're all going to deal with, you know, some sort of inconvenience in our life, maybe even betrayal, right? We might deal with something like that in our life. If you notice that someone handles stress very poorly, especially someone you're going to share your life with, like a woman, or if you're a woman watching this, a man, right? You're going to notice that it's just going to drain you. It's going to become your problem. And the last thing you want to do is let other people make their problems your problems. So be very aware of that. Notice that, right? I would say that's a green flag. If you see someone and there's a stressful situation, there's an inconvenience, right? Um, you guys are supposed to go on a picnic. It's raining, and suddenly it starts raining, right? No big deal. We'll do something else instead of them lashing out angry, right? Um, the car gets scratched, right? Instead of freaking out, they of course they're upset. I'm not saying that they're happy about it, but they're like, that's unfortunate. I'm not happy right now, but I guess we'll just have to get the car fixed, right? We'll have to fix the scratch on the car. That's just a poor little example of it, but I think you guys get the point, right? So watch how people deal with stress. That's a very big, important one. Don't overlook that one. I promise you, because the way people deal with stress is how they really are, right? That's that's another one. And I would say for a third one is maybe like little behaviors, right? Or do they have like a temper problem, right? And I don't know about you, like this can be obvious, but at the same time I don't think it's obvious enough. But if you deal with someone who has a temper problem, this is a bit extreme. This could also be dangerous too, right? Someone who has a temper problem, like if they feel slighted, disrespected somehow, they will be a ticking time bomb. Someone who, this can be another man, this could be a woman, this can be anyone. I promise you, those people are ticking time bombs. And the last thing you want to deal with is someone who is a ticking time bomb, someone who's gonna lash out, start shit, potentially be violent, right? Potentially put you in a uncomfortable position, right? Because they can't control their emotions. Because usually someone who has a temper problem, it's really from some form of childhood trauma, insecurity that they still haven't settled with. And what they're going to do is they're going to make that problem your problem. And that's the unfortunate thing. They're going to make it your problem. And do you really want to inherit someone else's problem? Because I don't. I'm sorry. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with someone lashing out because they feel disrespected somehow. This is kind of related to the stress part of it, but this is more on like the violent anger, temper, right? And it's just, it can be a risk to your life, right? You almost feel like you're walking on eggshells too. Like, are they in a good mood today or are they in a bad mood today? Right? You don't want to deal with people like that. You really don't. And definitely a lot more examples on like character flaws on the people you shouldn't deal with. But these are just three that you really need to focus on. And if you really want to learn more, I highly recommend you read the Laws of Human Nature, even the 48 Laws of Power, right? These are very good books to read because it gives you the reality of human nature, right? It gives you reality of how human behavior, right? Because humans, even though yes, we may be smart, we may read books, we may build skyscrapers, we may build electric cars, we may have cool infrastructure and stuff like that. But in reality, humans are not rational creatures. We are emotional creatures, right? And the truth is, these types of behaviors are not rational at all. This is part of someone's irrational part of their brain, right? Which is the amygdala. And you don't want to deal with that. And that's why I create content like this. So if you enjoy this, subscribe. I'm going to keep creating more and take care.